And today we are joined by a CEO who is a proud member of the LGBTQ plus community, CEO of Pitch Jams, Federico Arellano. Is that how you say it? I just want
That's
to make sure.
exactly how you say it.
All
Yep.
right. Welcome. It's so great to meet you. We obviously literally just met seconds ago offline, but so let me give our audience a little bit of background of you, and then we'll get talking. Federico, you've founded 5 companies. As you described them, 3 screw-ups. I like that. I wouldn't really say screw-ups, in companies. I think as an entrepreneur, if we don't learn and we don't mess up, how do we get better?
Exactly.
So you've been recognized for winning Facebook's Best Social Entrepreneurship Award in 2018 and being named one of Mexico's most influential LGBTQ plus figures by MIT in 2022 and 2023. As the co-leader of Comena 41, he empowers Mexico's LGBTQ plus community. You're a proud graduate of the American Express Leadership Academy in New York City, 2024, an ally of the Young America's Business Trust in Washington, D.C. You have shared your insights at places like the World Bank and international forums across the Americas and Europe, championing innovation and inclusion. I love this next thing you said about yourself, that you hate social media, and I love that. I don't know why I find that funny, but I do. And that's why he's currently building his own called Pitch Jams. So welcome to Empowered and Out.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen, for having me. For me, it's a great opportunity. I must say, though, that this is actually my very first podcast interview in English, which makes me a little nervous, but I'm sure we're gonna kill it.
Awesome. Well, I guess I should say good luck. Not that we should probably have any problems, but if you go into Spanish, you go into Spanish. It is what it is. Obviously, I feel very honored to actually speak with you because last week I had posted my first episode of the podcast. It's hard to believe this is episode recording number 5. No, I don't even know what number this is. It'll fall in episode number 7 is what it falls into. But have a few other ones that are just on my own. But anyway, so we met. I posted my first podcast episode links in the LGBTQ plus professionals network on LinkedIn. I have to say I was very humbled by that. I'm still humbled by that post alone because it has over 6,200 impressions, which I have.
Wow.
And me posting anything in that group, I think the most has been maybe 100, maybe 200. So I have a feeling this is going to be a good ride for this podcast. I'm kind of excited for it. But I don't know why no one's done what I've done already before. And that, creating a podcast for the LGBTQ plus, community, focusing really on being empowered and being out. I don't see anything wrong with it. I do know that, especially here in the United States, you are up in Canada, but we're going through a really fun time with our new presidency. So,
Well, because of this new presidency, we in Canada are also going into a quite interesting time as well. So
yeah.
so it's tricky for the whole region, I'll say. And we need a lot of inspiration, and we need a lot of good examples and a lot of support from within the community. So that's why I'm happy to be here and to share what I can, for sure.
Awesome. So I have a quick question because I was trying to understand a little bit, but before we get into the questions that I sent you, that you very kindly answered, and I read through them. Great answers. I'm excited. So can you just give a little explanation of what Pitch Jams is?
For sure. So what I'm building right here, it's a social media platform for entrepreneurs. every single kind of entrepreneurs, but we're especially focusing on early stage ideators, I want to say. So it's a platform, it's a software where you can upload your idea at the idea stage. So you don't even need to have a company. You don't necessarily need to be seeking for funding. You just play around the idea of being an entrepreneur. So it's a social media platform where you just post what you have, right? And if companies or investors or co-founders or whatnot find it interesting, then they might just connect. But connect in a funny way, as in social media, liking it, making you cry, upvoting, downvoting, like creating this sort of logic. And that's what I'm creating it for, just as a way to build a community around the earliest stages of entrepreneurship, because I guess that's where the most support is needed, under my opinion and my experience.
Awesome. I love that. Alrighty, so let's deep dive into those questions that I sent you. So, what inspired your journey from Mexico to Canada, and how has your identity as an LGBTQ plus professional shaped your experiences in both countries?
Okay, so I was born and raised in Mexico. I'm an only child there in a very conservative town in central Mexico. My dad, it's a financial advisor, so this is like a very traditional context, right? He was expecting me to either be a financial advisor like himself, or perhaps a politician, which I honestly don't know what I hate most, right? So I was a child actor back then, but my parents were afraid that I was going to be too shy or afraid of doing podcasts or public speaking, if that was a thing back in the 90s. So they sent me up to Canada in 1999 to learn English, to a summer camp at Carleton University here in Ottawa. And I guess I fell in love with the city. I guess I made one of those promises to be back at some point. That was my very first international trip. And I found the city so green, so very close to the water, and the way people interacted. I guess I liked beavers at some point. So I fell in love with the city. And then afterwards, I got the chance to come back for grade 11. As I told you in my responses, I had my first romantic proposal back in college in Canada, but I was not out of the closet back then. So I was very, very scared, and I went back to Mexico. Of course, not for that reason, but just for university, where I started my four of my five entrepreneurship endeavors. I did that. I did pretty much my career in Mexico, but then because of COVID, I had to shut my company down, and that's when I decided to move to Canada.
Very nice. I've still yet to go to Canada, and my aunt has lived in Canada, I think, almost my entire life. She lives up in Montreal.
Oh, cool.
And it's just funny that, I mean, I don't know why. I just have never made a journey, and I have no reason not to. I've been to Mexico many, many, many times growing up, but for some odd reason, I never went north of the border. I only went south of the border. So, um, but of course, I would love to be able to move to Canada, but we're not allowed. You guys won't let us in, but
we,
that's okay.
we have we have this je ne sais quoi in Montreal, which you're hopefully gonna enjoy a lot. Yeah.
So, what motivated you? And you kind of said this a little bit, but what motivated you to start Pitch Jams, and how does your company create a more inclusive and diverse space for entrepreneurs, especially those from the LGBTQ plus community?
So from the very early stages in my career, not only in entrepreneurship but my career in general, I felt like there was a big difference between going to an Ivy League and doing this sort of by the book track for entrepreneurs and not doing it. So this has always been unfair. And I think even though there's a lot of things going on trying to close this gap, to bridge this gap, I do think that there's still a lot of things to be done. For me personally, I was pitching, I can't remember which one of my endeavors, but I was pitching at some point, and then some investor told me, you know what? I don't think, well, it was actually Pitch Jams, and he told me, you know what? I don't think Pitch Jams is going to work because no investor would like to get connected with an entrepreneur that they don't personally know, or that it wasn't introduced personally to them by some point. And I was like, that's so true and that's so unfair. So that means that if you were born in the incorrect place of the planet for whichever reason, then that means that you're screwed, you know? And
Hmm.
even though we have a ton of social media access, and even though we have a lot of technology and whatnot, there's still a huge gap between those people that wanna move forward in their endeavors, that wanna get empowered, and those opportunities that can help them move forward. So the main inspiration on creating pitch jams is exactly that. So at one point, of course, making these connections, but then on the other hand, also showing people that their ideas matter. You know, that of course they have to put a lot of work. Of course, they have to be very professional, but that these ideas matter. And I guess that's the inspiration. We see every single day a ton of talented entrepreneurs from within the LGBTQ community or not, that are really willing to build a network, that are really willing to work together. And if we can help them, you know, at some point moving forward, we will. And that's what keeps us up at night.
Nice. Okay. So have you faced any unique challenges or biases as an LGBTQ plus founder? And have you turned those experiences into strengths in building your business?
We're getting to the juicy part of the interview, eh? So yes, and I'm gonna share this personal story because every single time I share this story, someone that is listening to it, someone that's watching it, they relate as well, or they know someone that can relate. And yes, so my entrepreneurship path started coming out of the closet. So as I was telling you, even though I've been coming back and forth from Canada, when I went back to Mexico and made my career, just like Billy Brown, I fell in love with another man, right? We were in the closet for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And we started this a first endeavor, a first company together, just as a way of us being together. Not because we wanted to make profit, not because we wanted to make a business, not because anything. Me personally, I guess this is the very first challenge that I faced. I was not accepting myself, and this part of being gay, it was something that I didn't really want to face. So instead of saying we're going in a relationship, I was like, we're going to business into business together. And of course that went really, really bad. This is an interesting story. I was not acceptant of myself, and this is going to be shocking, but hopefully this resonates into someone. But the very first time I saw myself in a picture and considered myself as a handsome man, I was almost 30 years old, and it was at the World Bank when I was giving a speech about this endeavor that I was building. Before that, I always felt like I was misplaced, that I was not handsome enough, that I was not worth it enough. And that's why I stayed with this guy for so long in the shades. And
Hmm.
that's why I kind of went into business-ish or not with him. Nothing really happened. Of course, we never raised any funding. Of course, we didn't have any sales. Nothing like that happened because probably the energy was focusing somewhere else. But when I decided to come out of the closet because of that picture, and when I decided to take the power of being myself, which was very hard because I was very, very afraid of what people was going to say and think of me, then I stopped seeing this guy. It broke my heart for sure. By the way, no one dies of a heartbreak, right? You eventually survive. Just
Yep.
a quick head up for someone that's listening and perhaps is struggling with this. So I did survive, and the company started actually working and started actually producing stuff and doing great things. So I guess overall, the main challenge for me as a gay man was that, this self acceptance. And what happened after? Two very cool things happened. First of all, I created my first like serious business, my first professional business, but also I understood that people that I was able to inspire people, that this story resonated to a bunch of other people, that they were in the closet either literally or or metaphorically, you know,
Hmm.
I've found some people that tells me, well, I want to be a fashion designer, but I don't want people to suspect or to think that I'm too queer. So my designs are more, you know, on the shy part of the spectrum, or more traditional. And I'm like, oh no, put on the feathers, you know, put on like all the lights you want to put, and all the paraphernalia, because that might be really cool. So those things happened, and I guess this is a very interesting story to share, because it's very easy to relate, and it's very easy to to be educated around fear, to be educated around not accepting yourself, or not only that, but thinking that perhaps if you're going to go out and look for investors or look for clients, they are gonna uh, label you, or they're gonna point fingers at you because of your sexual orientation. And that's not the case. For me, the hardest finger that was put at me, that was just showing me, it was mine, you know. So
Hmm.
that was for sure the biggest challenge I've faced, and but I overcame it, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. It is interesting because, like you said it so well, it wasn't until you accepted you for you and you were being you is when everything clicked. And I think it's really interesting because in my end of the, like with my career coaching business, I mean, my biggest push and my biggest, goal is to be helping the LGBTQ plus like professionals being their authentic self, because I think you're a much more productive employee, entrepreneur, whatever you want to be, when you get to be yourself. And
Absolutely.
because I feel that, and I like, coming out of the closet is such a big deal, but it's so funny because like I didn't come out until I was like 25, because I wasn't at the point where I was comfortable in my skin. I wasn't comfortable to be myself. I also made a point to make sure that I had a little bit of a support group, that in case family, friends, whoever did, if they didn't possibly accept me, that at least I had some other people um in kind of in my corner that were going to support me. Now in the end, everyone really supported me, and most of my really close friends were like, well, about time, like we already knew, I'm like,
You know,
thanks.
I know.
It's like, thanks, the stress that I was feeling for so long, and then everything is fine.
And
But
you know what, Jen? I wanna say something, because probably there's some non LGBTQ plus people that's listening to this podcast,
mhm.
and what I want to say to them is that I feel very lucky of being part of this community. And the reason why I feel very lucky, it's because even though I feel that we do face a ton of challenges, I think that for us, our closet is very obvious, you know. And for non-LGBT, for how do they call it in Harry Potter? The ones that are not wizards. The
um oh my goodness.
for those, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
um Muggles.
yeah, exactly. For the Muggles,
Ooh.
yeah, yeah. For anyway, so for them, sometimes it's harder to find ways of being their true selves. You know, for us, at least for me, it was very obvious that that was the closet I needed to come out of. But perhaps people that I don't know. I'm just saying things, right? But perhaps people that want to switch jobs, or the people that want to get a divorce, of people, you know, that want to take these big decisions in their life, and sometimes it's not that obvious. For me, it was a blessing that I always knew that that was the closet I needed to come out of. And I
Mhm.
guess this could be an invitation for everyone that's listening to us to, you know, like really think twice about what makes you you, and those decisions that you're feeling that you have to make, because if you really make them, no matter who you are, they are going to empower you, and they for sure are going to take you to a better place. So I guess that's a nice message that we can share here.
Yeah, no, that's a great message. I think that, yeah, when you're able to really be yourself, I mean, I think that a lot of times, I think you made a perfect you said it earlier with your father, because your father was in the financial world, and you like, and he wanted you to follow that path. And I think with my dad was he was an oral surgeon, he was a medical doctor. I had no desire to go down that path. I mean, I will admit it took me a little bit. I think what's funny for me is I always knew I was going to be something entrepreneurially because that's always been my passion. And it was funny because my dad was a doctor. He had his own practice. So he was an entrepreneur. His father was an entrepreneur. He had his own floral shop. So it kind of fell in line. So it was just a matter of how I was going to do it and
Yep.
what I was going to do. And, but I will say, once I became more comfortable with myself, and I could even mention that, oh, I have my partner and I have, whoever, that was at the time, I didn't have to, as we unfortunately have to do sometimes in the LGBTQ plus community, is play the pronoun game. I didn't have to play the pronoun game anymore because it's like, this is who I am. Why do I need to hide, who I am? And I think even though someone who is not in the LGBTQ plus community, I think whatever you have to do to be your authentic self and accept you for you is what's going to help you be stronger
Of
and
course.
more empowered.
Of course.
So visibility matters. So as an LGBTQ plus CEO, how do you use your platform to uplift and support other queer entrepreneurs?
Well, what we do with this social media platform is we run pitch competitions that we call them jams. That's what the name of the company comes from. And I've seen a lot of interest in several actors, from VCs to companies to universities or colleges, in running LGBTQ plus jams. So there's competitions, and and I like them. I like every single time. Just before entering this room, I was just profiling some potential clients for doing these jams for the LGBTQ plus community. So by doing those, that's also that's something nice that we do every time we can. Of course, inviting people over for those jams, or even for regular technology paths, like to follow their dream and to be part of it. That's also something that we do. And I'm still part of Colmena 41 in Mexico, which is this organization where we organize in-person events, monthly meetups, and sometimes we do some research and also pitch competitions as well. And I try to do that as much as I can. My dream would be that eventually we go really really big, and we are able to scale both activities. That'll be something nice. But I guess yeah, just spreading the word and just making sure that the platform, it's not only a nice place for people to pitch their ideas, but also a nice place to work where everyone feels confident of being part of it. Right now we are a teeny tiny team, but I think we have representation from quite different groups. So that's something that I feel proud of.
Awesome. So where do you see pitch jams heading in the next few years in the future? Like, how do you hope to further impact LGBTQ plus professionals in the broader entrepreneurial community?
Well, as every startup, I think we all want to be the next big thing, right? So I wish we could be that. I wish we could be the next big thing. Um, I hope that that Pitch Jams grows as big as any other mainstream social media platform. I really want to be popular in the way that people from Canada or from the United States can connect to people in Asia, or to people in Europe or in Africa, and the other way around, and hopefully, I guess this could be a very nice dream for the upcoming years. If we manage to present these success stories where LGBTQ plus people from anywhere in the world gets connected to somewhere in another corner of the planet, that's a story that I would like to share. This is something that we can only do by working very hard, and also by um, I guess showing a little bit step by step what we do, and how we're building this community around the pitching platform. But that's something I would love to do. Of course, if we can do education in the meanwhile, if we can capture some of the statistics about our community in terms of what they're missing, and hopefully fix it, that's something that data can be very helpful with.
Awesome. All right. So You were able to prepare for those questions.
Mhm.
Now let's have some fun. So I'm your company sounds amazing. I have to say, just like yeah, I love it. I love what your focus is. I love like what your mission is to do. I think it's awesome. So, if you could with collaborate with or mentor any historical LGBTQ plus figure in business or activism, who would it be and why?
It is a very hard question. Um, you know what? I'm gonna just say it out of the blue because I haven't studied a lot. This is just a very superficial opinion from what I've seen in movies and from what I've seen in the different articles I've read. But since I'm in tech, the LGBTQ plus character that I admire the most, it's Alan Turing. Um, so, and the reason why I would like to talk to him or coach him or whatnot has to do with the fact that I feel that he was a genius, and at some point, uh, no one can get what he was trying to do. In
Mm-hmm.
the end, after creating the amazing things he created, the computer, just to say the least, right? um, I don't like the idea of him dying feeling that he was not in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to coach him at the very end just by saying how important his legacy was and how inspiring he is for a ton of different LGBTQ plus people that are into tech. Um, so yeah, so I think that'll be my answer.
Awesome. So, what is one daily habit that you can't live without?
Dessert. Sorry, it was
Nice.
deep, and now this is not deep at all. But yeah, I want to say do yoga or whatever, but really, I can really live without yoga, but I cannot live without dessert. I have found, if you and the people that are listening to the podcast want to know, I have found that there's this specific type of dessert that it's from the Portuguese cuisine that we share with the Spanish and the Mexican cuisine. That's called, in the word in Spanish would be ate. In English, I guess it's quince paste. Um, so this
Hmm.
paste, it's just like some sort of jelly that
Oh,
that
okay.
that you have. It's like something to just dip bread or cheese in it, and it's perfect. It's low calories, so you can do whatever, and it's dessert, right? So I would do it. The complete name in Spanish would be ate de membrillo, quince paste in English, and you can find it in Portuguese shops. I buy it here at a Portuguese place near my place, and uh, and that's my habit,
Very
which I'm
nice.
very proud of, by the way. I don't bake a lot, but whenever I make cookies, they are good. I can send some eventually.
Very nice. I like that. Hey, I'm all about dessert, so like, I have a big sweet tooth, so I got that from my dad.
Awesome.
So if you had to describe your leadership style in 3 words, what would they be?
Hmm. In 3 words. Um, I mean, I don't know if that's my actual style, but I would just answer the way I would like my style to be, because I'm getting there, and I do feel every single time that I have to become a better leader for the people that's believing in the company, in the idea, and of course in me. But I guess the first characteristic, it'll be I'm a very idealistic sort of leader. I'm
Mm-hmm.
all driven by passion, sometimes too much passion, I would say. And I have learned that that's not a bad thing. I just have to measure it and I just have to control it. But passion in itself, it's something nice. So this being an idealistic and a dreamer, that will be number one. Number two, I would say I'm pretty direct and sometimes politically incorrect. That gets me into trouble sometimes, especially when I'm into this LGBTQ plus conversations of people like in the middle, like when activists are around or whatnot, that I have to be very careful even with my language. That's not who I am in my daily life. Sometimes I
Yeah.
I say some comments that I shouldn't say, but I guess all my colleagues and my team members know that it's not any bad intention of it. It's just that I like to be very direct, and I like to just be as practical and as easy to understand as possible. So that directness would be the number two. And then the number three about my leadership style. Okay, I'm gonna tell the truth of on how I feel. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is how I feel, and we're getting vulnerable, right? But I guess sometimes, even though I'm very direct and even though I'm very passionate, sometimes I get too shy about asking stuff. At this point, the company is starting to grow. So we are just a very small team. We're only five team members, and we are all learning every single time. The company is at that point where every day it's different to the other, and the challenges are getting bigger and bigger. And sometimes I feel that I don't tell them every single thing that's in my mind. That sometimes I hold back a little bit because I'm shy. Like I'm shy. By shy I mean I'm afraid on how would they react. I'm afraid if they're just gonna run away from me and be like, I don't want to be part of your company anymore. And that applies both to investors, to colleagues, to
Hmm.
team members, or even clients. And this characteristic, even though I think I have it, I don't think it's ideal, because startups, especially those that are going to be the next big thing, as pitch jams well, um, the head, the CEO needs to really be empowered.
Hmm.
But this power that we're creating, that we're building, it's not something you're born with. It's something that you exercise day to day, that you exercise by putting yourself out of your comfort zone. And this out of your comfort zone sometimes means asking people to go above and beyond what they're doing. And sometimes I'm too shy of asking that. I shouldn't be. I should be more challenging and things like that. And those will be my three answers.
What's interesting is I think your answers are very good for, especially because you're an entrepreneur. Like you've built company, like you've started, you said five companies, and three, would you say three
Screw ups.
failures? Yeah. But I mean, I think that if you don't have the passion, um, and you're not, direct, like, what you want to do. Like,
Exactly.
if you're not willing to if you're not going to have that passion, well, what defines an entrepreneur in general? It's having that passion to create something that, being one of the top social media platforms. I mean, look at what we use on a daily basis, be it a phone, a computer, whatever it might. I mean, someone had to have that entrepreneurial passion, that spirit to create what we all use now.
You know something? I am terrified of flying. I don't like flying at all. Uh, and I think I fly too much because of work. And by too much, I mean once or twice a year, but that's way too much for me, right? Because I don't like it. But every time that I'm like my hands are sweaty, and every time that I'm suffering in when I'm on a plane, I always think, oh my God, I can't believe that some dude eventually said, "Oh, I'm gonna make a flying machine, and I'm not gonna be afraid of testing it and to put it on, up in the air." And that calms me down a bit. And I'm like, Jesus. So this is the power of dreams. This is the power of believing in what your heart is telling you. So this is probably the way to do it.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So we're almost done, but I want to ask you, what is one key piece of advice or actionable tip that you would leave for our audience today?
Mm, I guess I guess I'm gonna talk about power for a chance, right? Because this is all about being empowered, and this means a lot to our community. Um, I guess for me, something that's being very very useful is the habit of reading. And I read. I was a reader before, and I love novels, especially in Spanish, that we have very good like literature of Latin novels and whatnot, which are nice. But now I'm reading a little bit about more about business, and especially about leadership and empowerment in business leaders and empowering your teams and whatnot. And I love what I read. But what's interesting about my reading habit, it's not about reading itself, about the material that I read, but it's about my morning habits. So in the morning, I feel that in the world we're living, we the very first moments of our day are those moments that we are, at least I was completely overflown of information, that there was a bunch of information receiving from traditional social media to newspaper to the TV to whatever, you're just waking up, and then you just receive a ton of information. Now what I'm trying to do is in the morning, if I have a book or the Kindle that's besides my bed table, I just take it. I just read a couple pages and of whatever it is. Right now, I'm actually reading a novel, Ready Player One, which I haven't read, and I'm loving it. But I guess being mindful about what we do in those first moments of the morning, that has helped me a lot in creating better habits. And yeah,
That's awesome. I mean, reading, one of my past guests said she thinks of like 5 things that she's grateful for.
yeah, yeah,
And it's just like, it's something very simple. And then I had another guest who said, um, and it's funny because I actually have a book about it, but like how important just like when you get out of bed, making your bed,
yeah.
how it starts your day. Um, and I know the guy that wrote the book, he was, I mean, he's famous for his phrase, make your bed. Um, and I can't remember who he is, and I'm not going to go by and try to find that book behind me. That could be scary. We have way too many books behind me. But yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I think one of the a phrase that I've heard many, many times for people who are leaders who is that um, readers create leaders, like, because we're always wanting to learn, we're always wanting to, I mean, right now you're reading a novel, but if you're reading a book about leadership, or um, it helps us grow. It helps us grow in in our daily lives, be it either personally or even like entrepreneurially, just to see, hey, okay, that worked for that person, maybe we can try this, or let's try it in this way.
Absolutely. And you know what? Something that terrifies me though, and that's part of what I don't like about social media. It's the algorithm. I
Mm-hmm.
think that right now we all are absolutely, and this could be even particularly dangerous for us as LGBTQ plus community. But I think that we are so targeted by the algorithm that if we don't push ourselves to read beyond what our phone shows us, we run the risk of like falling into these stream of negativity, or into this stream of hate, or whatever that's going around us. So I guess if we can find a way to prevent the algorithm from living our lives, from defining our mood, that'll be very very useful. Because in the end, I guess our lives are better and happier than what we might think. If we
Mm-hmm.
start comparing ourselves with our neighbors, if we start comparing ourselves with whatever, or if we're trying to solve what's going on around the White House or whatever thing is,
Yeah.
of course we're going to get frustrated, and we cannot. But that's not necessarily our life. We need to just be aware what our real life is, what our real connections are, what our real priorities are. And if everyone do the same thing, eventually I'm sure we're going to build a better world for everyone.
I couldn't agree more. I think when we read past the headline, and when you actually get to read real news, what's really happening, I think it better prepares you for your daily life and what you're doing. And when we take ourselves away from the social media, that is trying to make us live a fake life.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you got to be like this person, or like for us, like, oh, we need to be like this specific LGBTQ entrepreneur or whatever. No, we don't. We need to be
Exactly.
ourselves. We need to
Exactly.
be what we're going to do. And you creating, top social media, program, as well as, me having the top like LGBTQ plus podcast. Why not?
Of course. Of course.
I mean, we always got to, you should be really, well, you need to live, well, you should live for yourself. You shouldn't be living for anyone else, but you need to, like, we're in unique positions where we can help people make things better for the greater community,
Absolutely.
and not just for ourselves, but we can, which I love. I think it's very empowering. um, hence why I named this podcast Empower and Out. So that is all I have for us today. I am so grateful and thankful that I, have this opportunity. I'm excited to share this. Once the episode airs, I'm excited to, share it to the greater good, everyone that's out there, so they can listen. I, for me personally, I really hope that everyone, those who are listening right now, that you make the point to say how you felt, leave that review. We only can be better, when we learn, from those around us. And I think, I've learned you take criticism, I like constructive criticism. You got to take it with a grain of salt sometimes. Sometimes it can be, some people can be very blunt in their criticism sometimes, but I think that, being the expert, or being the one who, has possibly been doing this for a while, I think that we get better based on just going and going and going and taking the action. Like I mentioned with the previous guest, was like getting going and taking the action, even if it's messy, is still going to get you to where you want to be. And what's great is you can learn from that messy action to make it not be so messy and be actually a clearer, more accurate, focused action. So, with that, I thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, definitely feel free to put them in our, in the review. I will definitely share this, with Federico, and I am excited for, what's to come with Pitch Jams, and where you guys, head, where you're going to be shooting for the stars. I know you already are, and you're going to be very successful. I can definitely tell.
Thank you.
And
Thank you again.
so you're very welcome. And, thank you again. Until next time, keep showing up, keep owning your path, and remember, you deserve a career where you can truly be your authentic self. Stay proud, stay empowered, and we'll see you back here soon on Empowered and Out.